And welcome to ACS Golf. Today we're going to be looking at 7-woods with the idea of, what's the point of them? Should they go in the bag? If they do go in the bag, what should they replace? Are they any good? And also, can you do 7-wood on a budget? I mean, that's the whole point of this channel, is to be able to buy the club secondhand, give it a go if you like it, then sell it on and then, go and get the newer model, or if you like it, don't bother selling it on, just put it straight in the bag. You don't necessarily need. The whole point of this channel as well to show you don't need to have the newer clubs to be in the bag and be successful. Don't get me wrong, I do buy the odd new club myself, and you'll see them in these videos as well. But anyway, and it's also, point of view from, will it help a higher handicapper or mid-handicapper's game as well? Personally, I pay off 20.2 at the moment. I mean, we're just coming in winter in the UK here, so I can imagine that's going to go up a little bit over winter, due to the fact that the courses get a lot harder. I mean, if anyone's watching this in America and you're down south, then you lucky boys and girls don't have that issue. Sun all year round. Anyway, so to go into the club I brought. Now, I brought this, a Nike Sasquatch. So SQ, 7-wood, 21 degrees, stiff flex shaft. Happy, so exactly what I want, stiff flex, loads of life in the grip. I mean, bought this for 50 quid, as you can tell. It really isn't in that bad of nick. I mean, for a club that came out in 2008, I mean, it's in really good shape, to be fair. No marks on the shaft as well. So, generally really happy for the price of 50. And really, I always want to give Nike clubs a go as well. So, a little bit about the club. It's got an innovative sole, as you can see here. So you see that sort of V there, which is supposed to help with turf interaction, with the idea it just glides over the top. Now, you see this still nowadays, and you've seen it in the past before. This is where we get the guide rails. I mean, the Cobras, you have it nowadays, guide rail there. And so do the Clevelands, Woods and Hybrid as well, to help with that turf interaction. So nothing really new there. Good idea, though, to help always, especially with fairway woods where you can chunk it, anything to help just glide over the top is really appreciative. Another point is their power bow. So if you see here, just around here, the grey on the top there, now they call this a power bow. So sort of you have your sort of normal shape of a club, and then it sort of comes down to this bow here. With the idea that it helps MOI, so helps with off-centered hits. So there's more forgiveness because you've got more weight at the back, less face twist as well, which is the whole point. With the idea that if off-centered hits, you won't get punished. So can't complain about that. Now, finally, they had this cryo steel technology for the face. First time I've ever heard of that. I don't know if it really took on. But cryo steel, with the idea it's thinner but stronger than titanium, and therefore will help with more ball speed. So, back in the day for 2008, really was a full pack with technology that Nike did. They really did pump money into these things. And we'll see later if it does, match up to today's standards. Would I be happy with this being a 2008 club? Now, one thing I will say about it is the face itself is tiny. I mean, look at that. There's a golf ball there, and it is taking up the majority of the face there. Absolutely tiny. So one thing I will say, I think it's, a lot of older clubs, it's just the length of that face there. And it's quite daunting when looking down. I did get used to it, but it is quite daunting when you have such a long shaft and then such a little head at the bottom. But, can it still perform? Will I get over that? It's great training aid for hitting the ball out the middle. So yeah, so that's the club I picked. And let's now go to the range and let's see how it did. So here I am taking these shots now. First thing I was impressed with, it's just the ball flight of this club. It's just, the launch angle wasn't that great. It was 10, 11 on average, but it came out really nice and high, which is lovely, something that I'd want now for the idea of this club, to give a different dynamic in the bag. Now, obviously there's a few ones a bit lower, maybe came off the bottom of the club a little bit more, but the forgiveness was there. I mean, on average,
I got 176 flat yards carry, 200 total yards. I mean, that was a beast. That was 191 flat and 206 carry, which is great. There were a few of these, though, which I did remove from the results, to be honest, because that was completely down to me. With a smaller club face like that, I just hit it off the toe, which it's not the club's fault, that's me. Again, just very solid when I wasn't doing those missed hits. Every ball was just very solid, very same direction, really accurate down the middle, which I was really happy with and quite surprised with, especially the fact, this is 2008 club. Again, another shot like that, but I can't blame the club for that. That was me, my swing. And then here again, just look at that. Lovely ball flight, straight down the middle, a bit to the right, sorry, but ended up near the middle, and I just could not complain. The performance of this club was fantastic. Lovely height again there, lovely distance, and really, makes you think about should the 7-wood go in the bag.
So there you go. Actually, I mentioned the range with all the distance and everything. I was really impressed by it. I was really impressed with the ball height, really, because it really did ping up in the air and, just got a lot more height than I was expecting it to, when compared to 3-wood or 5-wood, which does show, obviously, with the face. I mean, look at that slope there. You can see there's a lot of face when you look down on the ball, which is actually quite reassuring, even though it's a smaller club. Now, to put it in perspective, if I compare it against what's in my bag at the moment, which is my 3-1 length hybrid, Cobra F9, 19 degrees. Now, for me, because it's a 1 length, I assume this is more sort of a 4-iron for me. It was a 4-iron distance rather than a three hybrid, which is normal length. Just because of the fact, obviously short shaft, you can't pick up as much ball club head speed. My Sim hybrid, we'll do a video comparing the two soon, but my Sim hybrid definitely goes longer than this. But for me, in that sort of 4-iron bracket distance, 5-iron, and then maybe a 4 up to a 3 hybrid or whatever, this is what I think this will sort of be targeting for. Maybe a 3 hybrid as well, but at the moment I'm looking at that 4-iron bracket. Now, as mentioned with the numbers, total flat, flat carry in yards was 176 on average. Total distance was 200. Got the numbers here. Launch angle 10 degrees. Ball speed on average 126. Highest height 53 feet. Now, that's what I'm saying. I was really impressed by the height of it. So even the launch angle wasn't that great. 10, 11. For me personally, I do struggle to hit the ball in the air. Even though the launch angle wasn't great, just the way the club's based, it was still, getting up to that 53 feet, really getting that carry, which if you're playing in the UK over winter, that's perfect because a ball is not going to run that far in winter. So at the moment, that is ticking a lot of boxes. Longest drive, flat carry was 191 yards. Total distance for that was 206 yards. So not that much rollout, which again, what I would expect with such that height. Ball speed was 129, which was a bit high at 12 degrees. And then the second highest was, total distance was 187. Total distance was 203 yards, and the total carried was 187. Ball speed 126. So one thing I would say about it as well, it was very consistent. I would say it's forgiving. Now, more down to my ball striking because of the size of the club. A few did come out here and went nowhere because they literally shot out to the right, which I mentioned in the video. But that's more down to my ball striking than the club itself. If you miss the club, it's not really much the club can do about it. But I had a few off the bottom and I wasn't punished that much. So forgiveness-wise, it's 2008 club. Forgiveness-wise, I thought I was very happy with it. So it's great. Now, just comparing some of the figures to my Cobra, which it would be really trying to match off into my bag. Now, the Cobra flat 161 on average. That's the carry there. Total distance 196. Ball speed 120 miles an hour, which I would sort of expect because it is a shorter club. With the idea that obviously the the club head speed is going to be less. However, it is 19 degrees, so it's a couple of degrees lower. So you think the ball speed hopefully would match off. Now, launch angle was actually higher with the Cobra. It was 12 degrees, but height was only 42 feet. So obviously, it just wasn't traveling as high up. Now, don't get me wrong, the best for this was flat 178 carry yards, but total distance was 211 total. Now, obviously, that's just because it's coming out low and it's just really is rolling. But great in the summer, and great if you've got no obstacles in front of you, or the obstacle's 150 yards, so you can just run out. Obviously, if you do want a bit more precision and a bit more sort of ball up in the air and drop down, so you can really judge it, then I think the 7 wood's great for that. I mean, personally, going through these numbers, I was really impressed with the forgiveness of it. It's 2008 club. Feel of it, it is a 2008 club, so it felt quite hard off the face. But performance-wise, could not complain. Now, the idea, to be fair, as well, of a 7 wood is not necessarily that you need to maybe switch out that 3 hybrid or switch out that, that 4 iron or full driving iron. The idea is you could actually, if you've got enough space in your bag, obviously, you could actually have a 7 wood and then have a 3 hybrid. They might go the same distance or similar distance, but the ball flight, as I've just mentioned there, is completely different. So the 7 wood, when you want that more higher ball flight and stopping distance, you can go for this. When you maybe want the ball to run out a bit more further, then you go for the 3 hybrids. Weather conditions, it's windier, leave this at home, take out the 3 hybrid with a lower penetrating ball flight, or take out the 4 iron. I mean, 4 irons for me tend to just come out like low bullets. So it's definitely a good option, I personally think, for a bag. And I really do suggest anyone, if you're low, medium, high, do have a look for these. I mean, they're becoming more and more popular. So you can find that these, especially on eBay, they really do go through the roof. I mean, just a few options here that I've noted down and I've had a look. I mean, you get Ping G10, the Ping G series for around that 64, 70 pound mark, which isn't bad, generally in good condition off. I think it's one of these like Golf Bidder or something like that. You get the Callaway Mavericks, the 22 version. So the Callaway Maverick from a year ago, and they've released like the 22 version. I don't know how much it's been upgraded, but Callaway have. One of them was going online went for £140. 7 wood, 21 degrees. So there are options out there. If you want to go really cheap, steelhead out there, £25. I mean, it's worth a try, isn't it? You go and sell that again, it's going to go for £25. It's not really, unless you completely break the shaft, you're not going to really lose any money on there. And then you got a couple of years ago, you got the Sim that I managed to see, £21, which is also stiff for £120. And that's one thing I will say is there's a lot of regular and a lot of senior shafts out there. There isn't too many stiffs. So if you are that player who needs stiff or extra stiff, you might have to dig around a little bit more, maybe pay a little bit more, but I definitely still think it's worth a go. So there you go. 7 wood. Should it go in the bag? I wouldn't necessarily say put it in the bag straight away, but I think it's a great option to have maybe on certain days to put it in the bag. It performed really well. It's a whole different dynamic to other clubs around it. So if you do like this video, please do give it a like. Let me know if you do play with the 7 wood in the comments below, and also please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you.